It's time for this month's book special, and this time I'm going to be going through some of my least favourite covers in my Stephen King collection. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that I've covered all of the books that Stephen King has put out. I've nearly covered all of the movies and adaptations, but you'll also know that once a month I do a proper book special, and that's what this episode is. And this episode is a bit of a twinner episode from one I did a while ago where I counted down my favourite covers of Stephen King books from my collection, from my shelves behind me. Well, this is the inverse of that. I'm going to take you through 13 of my least favourite covers from my collection, and I'd love to know what you think of them as well. So do get involved in the comments. Now, if you want more Stephen King content, there's obviously loads on this channel, but there are also videos about horror movies in my Silver Scream series, and if you're looking for horror book recommendations that are for books that aren't written by Stephen King, perhaps you want to branch out a little bit, check out my book club. I've got more than 50 recommendations for you. Each one is a spoiler-free review, and I try and align it to a Stephen King book to give you that point of reference. Okay, check those out if you feel like it. But back on with this one, we're going to go through my 13 least favourite covers in my collection. I'm just going to go through them in order of publication. Let's get on with it, shall we? Time for some ugliness. Okay, to kick off, we're going right to the start, and this cover of Carrie from the Rainbow Hodder edition. Now, I love my Rainbow Hodders, especially for the spines and the spiky font and all that, but some of the covers are not great. And this, to me, just looks like a wedding cake. It doesn't look like a school prom, and there's not enough blood on it. So, I mean, that just looks like they're coming in on a red carpet. Like, that doesn't say Carrie to me. Carrie is fire and blood and terrifying stuff, and this is just like some people going to get married. Doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid. Okay, next up, we're sticking in the Rainbow Hodder editions, and there will be a few from that collection because that makes up the bulk of my collection. But this one for Night Shift really does suck. I mean, I've got the iconic Night Shift covers with the eyes on the hands and stuff. There's so much incredible possible imagery from there, but instead we get this scarecrow with a green carrot for a nose. Like, what? You had all of the stories in Night Shift to pick, and you went for that? Lovely colour down the side, but really? Really? Okay, next up, my cover for the UK original version paperback of The Stand. So this is of the cut edition. Like, it just looks like Crazy Arthur Brown. You know, fire, burn, like what? I mean, like, obviously there's the classic US cover of like Luke Skywalker fighting a plague doctor. That makes more sense than like this Alice Cooper Crazy Arthur Brown mashup. Like, what? That's just, how does that say end of the world apocalyptic epic? It doesn't. Okay, next up, back to the Rainbow Hodders, and this one for thinner. Now, I love the fact that the Bachman books are black, because that's King's dark half, so it's on theme. But, like, really, again, for thinner, you put some vultures. This would be great for Desperation, because that's set in the desert, and there's vultures, and, like, I get it. He's losing weight, he's dying, so the vultures are circling. But, again, you've got all of this great imagery around the pie, around measuring scales, around the Romany community that are in this story. Like, do better. You can really tell that these were from a pre-Instagram time because, yeah, they'd be putting way more effort in now. I'm sure they would. Okay, yep, we're going back into the Rainbow editions for 4 Past Midnight. Now, I don't like this collection anyway, but honestly, I mean, come on. Like, they've taken the hands off the clock. Like, at least make the hands be 4 Past Midnight. Like, there's the classic sort of 90s UK edition that is like a sort of really crazy Dutch angle view of a clock with 4 minutes past midnight, it's all like exploding and there's lightning and stuff. That's pretty cool. What is that? Honestly, no. Okay, next up, I'm going to pick this edition of The Wastelands. Now, this is part of 3 Dark Tower books. I don't know if you can see them. No, they're just out of shot. The first 2, the paintings are beautiful and they really work. Whereas this one, I don't know, like, it's part of the same series, but it's just so uninspiring. And what's he looking at? The tower's behind him. Like, what? And there's this city off in the distance, and Eddie looks like some middle-aged stockbroker. It's just crap, isn't it? It just doesn't... This is such a bombastic and dynamic book. It just doesn't get that across at all. And Roland wears a hat, right? Like, where's his hat? Where is his hat? Okay, back to the Rainbow editions, and we're going to Bag of Bones. And this... Like, what is this meant to be? Is this a bird that's dripping with ink? Is it a bird that's got loads of spikes all over it? But this bird does not even appear in the story. Like, owls, maybe there's owls in the story. But again, there is better imagery here. The Halloween Hodder edition of Bag of Bones is great. There's like a hand coming out the lake. That works. And, you know, I don't necessarily think you absolutely have to have a cover that features an image from the book itself, from the story itself. It can be something that represents a feeling, sure, or an idea. But like this just... Like that to me is like a Randall Flagg iteration. That's Flagg as a crow, and Flagg ain't in Bag of Bones. Again, it's just a bit of a lazy choice, and I don't know, just doesn't speak to this book at all. This is like a gothic ghost story, and they've put this like weird pigeon on the front. Like, again, do better. Good colour down the side though. Nice, strong green. Okay, next up, this edition of On Writing. Now, I like that it's kind of King's silhouette here, but, you know, we've all seen the 20th anniversary edition of On Writing, where it's that iconic photo of King from the 80s with his feet up on the desk, dog underneath him. That is the picture for On Writing. That should be the cover for On Writing. This is just like, I know it's taken from the original paperback. Oh, it's just dull. And it's such a great book that, again, it deserves a better cover. And the photo that they did 20 years later, that was the cover. And that should be the only cover. Although there is now a very, very beautiful 25th anniversary edition, which you can check out my unboxing of because the publishers sent it to me because I'm kind of a big deal. I'm not really. I'm just very lucky. Okie doke. Next one from the Rainbow editions. Solid colour down the side, but really uninspired movie tie-in. Now, there are 2 movie tie-ins editions for Everything's Eventual tied into 1408 in the Rainbow Hodder. The other one is black and has got the movie poster with half of John Cusack's face and half of Samuel L. Jackson's face. That's great. But this, like, just does nothing for me at all. Like, super low res, uninspiring colours. And it's only now that I'm realising that's meant to be a doorknob with a hotel thing on. Nah, lazy movie tie-in. Okay, sticking with the Rainbow edition again. Good colour down the side, but yes, it's Everything's Eventual again. It's this obsession with this lighthouse. Like, there is no story in here that has the lighthouse in. And as I've already said, that's not necessarily a problem, but it seems to be that every edition in the UK of Everything's Eventual has this lighthouse in. And the lighthouse just makes me think of Castle Rock Pictures. But it's just confusing because, like, again, you've got a wealth of stories to pick from here. And like the US edition has that gorgeous painting of the drop of blood in the glass of water from a restaurant. Like, just do that. I mean, there is a part of me, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. I'm going to put the book down because let's get into it. There is a part of me that wonders why with books it's fine to just have multiple different covers, to reissue covers with completely new artwork and stuff. Like, you wouldn't do that for music, for example. Albums, do you remember albums? Yeah. Albums, the artwork, you get that once, and the artwork is part of the album. I've never understood why books aren't like that. Just come up with one good cover and make it the same everywhere. Sure, I get it. They want to cash in on collectors wanting different editions. And sometimes it's fun to see like, oh, there's the US edition and there's the UK edition. But if it were me, and certainly with my writing, we get the cover. It's the same cover all over the world because that's fair, and that forces you to actually make one cover that you're happy with, that you think is representative of that art. So there we go, rant over. Why can't we just have the same cover everywhere? And yeah, what's that obsession with lighthouses and everything's eventual? Okay, next up. Yeah, Faithful. Fucking boring cover for a really fucking boring book. Unless you like baseball, but I don't, because it's fucking boring. I mean, like, again, there's a US edition where it's two baseball players fighting with each other on the front. Give me that. What is this? This is just some terrible stock image of somebody getting mud off their boots. I just... yawn. Okay, next up. This edition of Under the Dome. So, the UK paperbacks of Under the Dome, there's about 5 or 6 different covers. I've seen a couple of the other ones out in the wild. I have no desire to collect them. They're all just like pictures of confused white people looking up at the sky. It's just like, okay, is that the best you could come up with? For a bombastic cocaine era style story of a town trapped under a dome and everything going to shit? Huh? Nah. So my penultimate one is End of Watch. It's just so thoroughly bland. Admittedly, it's probably better than the story in there, but like, sure, like, it makes sense in context with the other two, kind of, but just so uninspiring. You can just picture this just sat there on a shelf in an airport, or in W.H. Smith's, or whatever it's called now, T.G. Jones, and just being sat there in amongst all of the other crime and thrillers, and most people just even passing over it. Somebody occasionally going, oh, Stephen King, and then reading the blurb on the back and being like, nah, doesn't sound like a horror book to me. And it's got the Daily Mail on the front. I mean, that can get in the bin. And lastly, Fairy Tale. Now, this is clouded somewhat by the fact that I hate the story Fairy Tale. And some would argue that this is a nice cover. Colour scheme is okay, I guess. But having seen the US edition, which is blue with the spiral staircase, it looks like an eye. That's the cover I want. This is just, like... It's bordering on sort of romantasy type stuff, which I don't like. And I don't like all these flat elements sort of layered onto each other. Like, the dog silhouette and the boy silhouette just seem really cartoonish. And yeah, it's just, that's not what I want from a Stephen King book cover. Like, really? Like, imagine being out in public, being seen reading that. It just sucks. And then they went and tried to cash in, like, less than a year later, they brought out a green edition of this because it's in a forest or something. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, let's just move on and forget this one exists, shall we? So there we go. 13 of my least favourite covers from my collection. I'm sure if I were looking on the internet and just going through them all, I would find some different ones. But hey, let me know which of my ones you didn't like, or maybe there's some that you do like. And let me know which ones out there you also don't like. I'll go and look them up and let you know what I think as well. And hey, there's this month's book special. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you've come this far and you're not just going to bail at this point, I'm going to quickly throw some plugs at you. Everything here is linked in the description, but you can find my collection of Stephen King themed band shirts, like my Randall Flagg Nirvana mashup. You can find my Stephen King trivia book from 2022. You can find my multi-award winning collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun from 2024. And if you like what I'm doing on this channel, you can become a constant viewer, you can become a member, support this channel directly and get some fun bonus stuff. But otherwise, I will love you and leave you. Back next month for another book special, back next week for more rambling stuff. There's the book club, there's Silver Scream stuff. There's loads going on. It's a good time. See you soon. Take care.